channel. Good evening everybody. If you are watching after the fact, then please do feel free to skip ahead to qualifying. I'm just getting the rest of the lobbies set up. It shouldn't be too much longer. There will be descriptions. Will be timestamps in the description for you to go and skip ahead to racing action or qualifying action. We shall not be very long. As you can probably tell, the stream's up.
Yep, alright, I will tell them to ready up.
Let me get that link. Let me edit the video. Helps if I download my thumbnail, doesn't it? Ah! Cross the boundary lines. Dude. Having a lot of fun making these thumbnails and doing like the championship fight theme going on in each one.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like that.
So I've always got an Alpine and a Ferrari fighting each other on the thing at the minute.
Oh, I love it.
But yes, good evening everybody and welcome back to Tier 2 for tonight's dose of racing action. I'm Sumo, your commentator this evening, and joining me as always is the 4-time sprint champion and my amazing co-commentator Ghost. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, I am fresh and ready for another race in Tier 2. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Although around Spain it's very difficult. Rick has asked me to say something in my onboards chat. So here we go. It's your boy Goat Ghost 272 back with another epic Tier 2 stream. This time it's Spain, and we're all expected to spin, even the commentator. But without further ado, let's get ready to rumble.
Oh, excellent!
There we go. That's our YouTube intro today.
There it is. Oh, incredible! What are you doing? Go away, Discord! Stop being weird. Oh, amazing! This is so cool. So I've just got the timings up, right? Hello, Keith. How you doing, mate? You only just subscribed to me? Well, I'm bloody fuming, mate. Honestly.
Unbelievable.
Oh, wait, no, only subscribe to me. Okay, no, I'm not fuming.
That's better.
That's much better. Anyways, our drivers tackle one of the trickiest circuits on the calendar tonight as we head to Spain for round 4. Circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya hosts 16 corners, 8 to the left and 8 to the right. A fast and twisty sector 1 and 2 lead on to a tricky and technical sector 3, with the chicane of 14 and 15 being particularly tricky at this 4.675 kilometre circuit. Expect to see the most overtaking action into turn 1 as the long DRS straight that starts the lap provides the best opportunity. Any thoughts on tonight's arena for Tier 2, guys?
I think we're going to see a lot of DRS trains, especially if the guy at the front of the DRS train has a lower wing setup than the guy behind him. Because one of the cool things about this track on this game is that you can be equally fast with low wings as with high wings. There's pros and cons with it in an actual race, but in general, you've got to sort of balance it and have slightly lower wings that compromise you a little bit in corners, but that give you that edge in the straight that allows you to defend or overtake for a position.
I certainly, and I think it's going to come down to the drivers who can be as consistent as possible tonight, as this circuit can catch you out if you are not careful. And now my phone, my Discord app on my phone is being very slow, which is annoying.
Oh Lord.
So I'll have to use the standings on here. But we have a look at the championship now, and 10 points separate our championship leader Lawrence and Pommy Alex, who is promoted up into P2 after his teammate Muhiti crashed out in Mexico. Fido Man takes P3 for Alpine on 44 points, just 4 behind Pommy Alex, with Muhiti dropping down after not scoring any points, sat on 43, with Spartan Keith just 1 point behind the Ferrari driver in his Red Bull. With only one Ferrari managing to score points last week, Alpine shoot ahead in the Constructors' Championship onto 102 points, as Ferrari now sit on 91 and are no longer at the top of the table. Mercedes and Red Bull are fairly close together, with 69 points for the Mercedes outfit, and Red Bull Racing on 55 points, gaining a place over the McLaren team. Alfa Romeo and Williams sit tied on 35 points, with Aston Martin just 2 behind, AlphaTauri with 14 and Haas with 7 points. That is your Constructors' Championship at the moment. There's still plenty of racing to be had, and it's Alpine with the advantage.
Certainly is. Tito Man may not be the fastest driver on the grid, but my goodness, he is so consistent, and he's scoring points every single week, and just every point he scores is a dagger into Ferrari's hearts at the moment, with Muhiti's DNF especially. But Pommy Alex, having said that, has just gone provisional pole with an 18.1, although I do think we'll see the times get faster than that as we go. Muhiti, a tenth and a half behind him, which is surprising. Actually, Muhiti was rumoured to be the man on pole today in the paddock. Read the Discord. So we'll see how it goes, but we could have a duel between the Ferraris for pole position.
Yeah, certainly. I think Pommy Alex just has the edge at the minute in the first and second sectors, as Muhiti was fastest in sector in sector 2, and Pommy in sectors 1 and 3 on that previous lap. He was lighting up the timing screens purple. And where are we now? I was watching Morales, who's gone at a 19.6. Our next driver to cross the line. It looks like Spartan Keith.
Yeah, he's in sector 3 now. Spartan Keith, he's a little bit off Pommy Alex in the first and second sectors, but this sector you can gain so much time in these last few corners. But Spartan misses the apex of the left-hander of the chicane. That's going to cost him at least a tenth as he comes up to the line. It's an 19.2, a long way off for the Red Bull driver who was pole on Miami. Very surprising.
Yeah, certainly. So I think he was saying in the Discord that he does not like this circuit, and I do not blame him at all. This is an incredibly tough track, I think, and we'll catch a number of drivers out in certain places. Turn 3 can catch a driver out. Turn 2 will catch you out as well. If there's obviously the infamous 7 and 8 as you go quickly left and up the hill towards turn 9. The new reprofiled turn 10 can be quite tricky as well, with different lines and not each of them being all that quicker than each other, and so figuring that out is going to be hard. Even turn 12 and the majority of sector 3 can be incredibly tough, so I think it's going to be down to the drivers who can master the track.
Our championship leader there, Lawrence, really struggling on his opening lap. He's going to be, but as we've seen in the first 3 rounds, he starts off a weekend, well, a session. He starts off a session not on the pace, and then he gets faster and faster as the session progresses. So we'll have to see if Lawrence can live up to that expectation in qualifying today, but at the moment he's sitting down in P10.
Yeah, for the moment I think he'll definitely find some time out there. Keeping an eye on a few other drivers. Everyone else is finished their first lot of runs, but the 2 Mercedes are about to begin a few laps, and so is the other Alpine of Fido Man. So we'll wait and see as they go. And Mercedes, of course, got a fairly decent result. I think it was a 1-2 in the end after the stewards' investigation.
It was a 2-3. 2-3.
Oh, it was. So TTV Max's win did stand. And I don't know. I should know that. I'm a steward.
No,
Oh,
it was fairly uncertain for a while, but yeah, it was a 2-3 in the end for Mercedes. There is still something under appeal, which I will post about after this
yes.
race, since I was at work all day. But yeah, JBS Steve currently on track for Mercedes, a 22.5 in the first sector. It's not too bad, but it's a little way off our provisional pole sitter as he comes through sector 2 now. This very tricky section, a snap of oversteer through 7, and now onto this fast right-hander as lifts off a bit more than he would have hoped through there, and now up to this long left-hander replacing the previous section of the track and into sector 3. No purple sectors, so we'll see where he evens out at the end of the lap.
Yeah, as he comes through the sector 3 now, this chicane so important to nail the lap and really get the time on the board as he comes around this final corner, gets it right to the line. It's quite a short run from the exit of the final quarter. It's a 19.4, not the quickest from the Mercedes. How about Jamie F1? He's not lit up the timing boards that particularly well, so I'm not sure how much faster this is going to be. Perhaps a little faster than his teammate. Much faster than his teammate, top 4. It's an 18.5.
Yeah, he was about 4/10 faster than his teammate at the end of sector 2, and then got a much better run through the final chicane, so was able to eke out that bit more time. JBS Steve had a bit of a nightmare sector 3, really. I was riding on board with him. Tito Man's coming to the end of his lap as well, around the final corner. He's a little way off pole position and down in P10, but he does beat JBS Steve into the top 10 by a couple hundredths. As Muhiti was that, or was that Mr. J-Man?
That was J-Man, that was Mr. J-Man. Yeah, he's just knocked Jamie down like one place. I think Muhiti's coming across the line now. He's a 10th up on his previous, and he does take pole. It's a 1:17.9 for the Ferrari driver. Getting that sector 3 just right.
Tommy Alex is out.
Purple. Oh!
Through turn 7.
That's a huge crash. See if I can try and have a look. Yeah, he's just in the barriers there on the left-hand side. He's obviously lost it through 7 into 8 and has gone into the wall. That is a huge crash for the Ferrari, and he'll be hoping that nobody beats his time at the moment.
Lalo Mado purple in sectors 1 and 2, Sumo.
This is looking like an incredibly fast lap. I think Lalo Mado was asking for a 25% race around here, and he's going to be looking quick at the moment. Let's see if he can nail these final few corners. Coming around turn 16 now in his AlphaTauri. It's coming across the line. It's a fairly short run. It's a 17.7 from the AlphaTauri driver. That's a good lap, and knocks Muhiti back down onto P2.
That's a very solid lap from Lalo Mado. Onto provisional pole. Was he pole last week, or did someone take it off him in the end? I can't remember now. But he was certainly on the front row. So qualifying very good for the reserve driver, but in the race he hasn't looked as good to start off this season. Maybe he can get himself a permanent seat, because he has been reserving the last 3 races now. So we'll see. There are free seats available, so hopefully we can get him in.
Yeah, certainly. We'll have to wait and see. Tears into the pits. He was on a lap a minute ago, and I think he just had to back out and abort it. After the last attempt, Morelez struggling at the moment. He's 2 seconds down on his previous. Not a lot of improvement being found across the board at the minute. I did see Lawrence. He did have a half spin at turn 3, so that lap he started has been aborted, and I think he's on one now.
Spartan Keith 7/10 up at the end of sector 2 on his previous best, so this could see him into the top 4, I think, as he comes through the final sector now. If he can nail this last chicane, that's a lot better than what he did last time. Around the final corner now for the Red Bull. Where's it going to be? It's looking pretty good. 4th place for Spartan Keith. Much better. Much more like what we were expecting from him today.
Yeah, an 18.3 from the Red Bull. That's a decent lap time from Spartan. He'll be hoping that Krauser can put in a decent lap as well and join him up there in this fight. It's still going to be Alpine versus Ferrari, and it looks like Ferrari have the advantage right now, unless Alpine can find some more time on the circuit. Our championship leader Lawrence is making his way through Sector 2. He's about a tenth up on his previous. I'm just looking. Yeah, it's about a tenth up in Sector 1 right now. We'll wait and see. As he's invalidated his lap out of
Oh.
turn 9, that is going to be a huge shame for our championship
Oh,
leader as
Henry.
Henry.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sumo. Henry up to P3. He went purple in Sector 1, and then a little bit off the pole time in Sector 2, but brought it back in Sector 3. Only 2.5 tenths off Lalo Mato. That's a fantastic lap from the Aston Martin driver. Sees him on the second row.
Yeah, and more importantly, it splits up those Ferraris, so Pommy Alex is going to be starting a lot further down than he would have hoped, especially after that retirement from the session. I think Kraus is out on an out lap right now, so we'll keep an eye on him. So it's Mr. J-Man. He's been having a fairly decent season this time out, but I think he's been struck with a lot of bad luck in the races, so hopefully Spain won't be too tough for him today as he begins a lap. I think he might have time for one more perhaps with the short nature of this track, but we'll wait and see as he makes his way around.
Yeah, JBS Steve also on a lap. He's about a tenth up on his previous best, so still a long way off. He's really not enjoying this track, is the man in the Mercedes. His teammates are a lot further up the grid. Can he get Sector 3 much better this time? He went very deep through the left-hander on his previous attempt. That's much better from the Mercedes, but still very conservative out the final corner. And that's going to cost him a couple of tenths, I would have thought. Up to the line he comes, and up to only P11.
Yeah, not the best lap, as it looks like his teammate's just gone off the circuit there on his out lap. And into the pits actually, so I think he invalidated this and the next lap, which is something you definitely don't want to do here in qualifying. Scaparo's also invalidated his time as well. Let's ride back on board with Mr. J-Man, who's a little bit up on his previous. He's about a tenth up in the second sector. So this is a slight improvement for the Williams driver as he comes through the final corner. Could see him into P5.
P4.
P4. Decent
And
lap for the Williams.
Pommy Alex goes further down the grid as more and more people improve, and he'll be hoping that fifth is as bad as it gets, but Spartan Keith, I reckon, can improve. I don't know about Tia. Jamie F1 could improve. They're in the pits at the moment, but still 3 minutes to go. As Crozer is improving. He's green through Sector 1.
Yeah, Tia was down on his time. He's come into the pits almost immediately. Fido Man is making his way around. Is Muhiti on a lap? Doesn't look like it. It might be a second slow lap before a final push for the Ferrari. How about JBS Steve? What is the Mercedes up to? Way down on his previous at the minute. And here comes Krauser. Krauser's down as well, I think.
Yeah, way down.
Poor lap for the Red Bull. That's a shame. Let's have a little look around. I think we're just gearing up now for these final runs of qualifying, I think, because some drivers are starting to make their way out of the garage. JBS Steve starting a lap perhaps. JBF1 on an out lap. So keep an eye on these times.
Muhiti about half a tenth down through Sector 1, so this final run is not going well for the man currently on the front row. He'll be hoping to get a bit better through Sector 2, but that's very deep through Turn 7 and gets on the yellow curb. That's going to cost him at least a tenth, I would have thought. And down to the back straight now, DRS open. What's it going to be across the second sector? I would guess down. No, he's up actually. Half a tenth up on his previous best, but he lost half a tenth in Sector 1, so it's very close to his previous best as he comes through the final sector now.
Yeah, it's all going to be down to what he can do in this final sector. He runs incredibly wide, and I think that's going to cost him. As he's come through, he's backed off there as well, and he's going to pull right into the pit lane, and that's going to be qualifying over for the Mercedes. He won't, for Ferrari, sorry, he won't have enough time to get his way back out. Here comes JBS Steve, 4 tenths up. This could see him a lot further into the top 10. That's better from the Mercedes, puts him just above his teammate in P7. That's an Alpine starting a lap. Jamie F1 starting a lap as well. Hopefully that's not invalidated both. It hasn't. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Tito Man and Scaparo both improving Scapper improving through both Sector 1 and 2. He's 3/10 up on his previous best. It's not going to be enough, and he spins, and that will be qualifying over for the Haas driver, but he's still ahead of the championship leader.
Oh, and that goes Tito, man. He's spun just out of into turn 8 there. Luckily keeps out of the barriers, but is on the grass. Not where he would want to be at all.
Jamie F1 improving, meanwhile, in the Mercedes. Half a tenth up through Sector 1. Let's see what he can do in Sector 2. Goes over the yellow curb. That's going to cost him a bit as he comes now to this breakneck right-hander, just blind as you go through that on exit. And down to the final sector. He's still up on his previous best, but it's not by much as he comes through the final few corners.
I'm just watching along with Lawrence. I think he's going to be the next to cross the line. Unless it's Spartan Keith ahead of me, I couldn't tell really. Keep an eye on those timings. No, so here comes our championship leader Lawrence. He's about 5/10 up through the second sector. Not enough to improve him into the top 10 for the Alpine. Jamie F1 just displaces his teammate there as he goes into P7. So very close between the two Mercedes cars actually. How about Morales? He's a little bit up on his previous best as well. This could shoot him up a couple places. It does. Puts him just ahead of Tier.
Lalo Mato purple in Sector 2.
Going again, just cementing that time and going not quicker at all. He lost it in the second, in the final sector. Sorry, Henry not finding any improvement. I'm not sure if Tier is up on his time. He is by 2/10 in the second sector, so we could see him maybe get ahead of Morales.
Yes, sixth.
Even better. That's a decent final run from the Aston Martin driver, putting himself into P6. Spartan Keith invalidated. That's such a shame for the Red Bull. He could have got himself a bit further up. And it looks like P5 is going to be where Pommy Alex will start, and I think that's best case scenario in my opinion after the likes of Spartan, Jamie and JBS Steve all didn't manage to get into those higher 1:18s.
Yeah, and Tier beats Spartan Keith onto the third row by 0.003 of a second.
Wow.
So it's very, very tight in qualifying. All these times very close together, and I think the DRS trains are going to be very long for this race, quite possibly. And we know Pommy Alex especially has more pace in him.
Yeah, he certainly does, and as long as he can avoid another mistake like that during the race, he could have a decent go. It's advantage Ferrari then, as we finish this qualifying session, with them in P2 and P5, and their rivals Alpine further down the grid, but don't count them out yet, as Lawrence, once he's got his feet under the table, is incredibly quick, and Fido Man, an incredibly consistent driver, so this championship battle continues.
Absolutely. I'm not sure why the session isn't ending. There we go, there we go. But yeah, it is Lalo Mato on pole position for the Spanish Grand Prix, with Muhiti, his Turkish counterpart, right alongside him on the front row. Henry with his best qualifying of the season by far, P3 for him. Mr. J-Man continues his good form on the second row. Pommy Alex, P5 in the end after only being able to set one lap. That's a decent effort still from the Australian. Tier in P6, he'll be happy with that. Spartan Keith just behind in P7 with Jamie F1 sharing that fourth row. JBS Steve and Mireles make up the next row with Crozer in P11, and our championship leader Lawrence down in P12, but as you say, he sort of ramps up the pace as we go through the race, so keep an eye on him. Tito Man P13 and Scaparo will start from the back.
Decent qualifying then we have in store. A race we have in store, sorry, qualifying is over. But it's going to be quite the battle, I think. And if Alpine can get themselves a lot further up the grid, then perhaps they'll be challenging the likes of Ferrari for some more points in this championship fight. And don't count out those Red Bulls or those Mercedes either. They are very quick, those guys, when they want to be, so they'll have a definite challenge in store. Make sure you guys have of course liked the stream and subscribed if you haven't done so already. I could see that there are 4 of you watching and only 2 likes at the moment, so we need to bump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers, guys. And I head over to Ghost's channel as well for the onboard stream. But if you want the full broadcast, then over here on my channel will be the best view you can get. But here we go. Then no formation lap. 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix. And away they go. It looks like a decent start from our pole sitter, but Muhitti's got a better second phase. And Mr. J-Man as well. He's challenging the Ferrari into the first corner. He's looking to go around the outside, but Muhitti covers him off for the time being and closes the door. Pommy Alex as well, fighting with the Aston Martin's 4-track position at the minute, but he doesn't manage to get ahead of Henry for the time being. He's 3 wide through turn 3 there, as there's a Mercedes, an Aston Martin and a Ferrari all going wide into turn 4. Pommy Alex is round!
Oh, nothing he could do there. 3 wide and just a bit of contact, and Crozer's out the session at the same place, and that is a virtual safety car straight away. But I don't know what happened to Crozer there. I don't know if you saw it, Sumo.
So I was taking a drink. No, I didn't see what happened to Crozer. Perhaps a spin or perhaps some contact, maybe. We'll have to hear back from Crozer, but that is a huge shame for the Red Bull driver. It's only his 2nd race of the season, as he missed the first couple, so a huge shame for him. But a virtual safety car neutralising this race. We'll have a quick look at position changes. Scaparo up 4, Fido Man and Mr. J-Man up 2, Lawrence up 3 places, as well as Jamie F1. Muhitti and Mr. J-Man had great starts and got themselves into the top 2 positions at the minute, with JBS Steve getting himself up a place as well. Pommy Alex, the biggest loser, losing 8 positions off the start.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. Almost every single car on the same strategy. Everyone's starting on mediums except Lalo Mado, who started on the hard tyres. So interesting to see how the alt strategy goes. I do think medium hard is better, but we will see. We know Lalo does have the overarching pace from qualifying, but can he carry it through with those hard tyres? He's already lost a couple of positions at the start.
Yes, and we're back to green flag racing then. Thankfully no penalties for any of our drivers thus far. Muhitti's already pulled out a 2nd on the cars behind, and Henry almost going into the back of the AlphaTauri of Lalo Mado, and he's looking to make a move into turn 7. Surely not. They're going to go side by side up the hill. It's a great move, and they're continuing to be side by side as they go all the way up to turn 9 as well, continuing the move in the better line for the Aston Martin, and able to carry the speed and get ahead of the AlphaTauri for now, who's the latest of the late breakers into turn 10. It looks like the Aston Martin has covered off that AlphaTauri, and the superior grip on them. Oh, and there goes Tier into the wall!
Oh no!
He's still in this race, but he's lost his front wing. I just saw that in the background.
Lalo locks up. Sorry to interrupt. Lalo locks up and loses a place to Jamie F1 as well. So those hards really taking a long time to get up to temperature, and nearly spins at the final corner. It's going to leave him vulnerable to Spartan Keith now as well. The AlphaTauri just hemorrhaging positions right now. But what a fantastic set of corners between him and Henry, side by side for so much of the track. As Spartan now down the inside, can they continue the side-by-side racing? Yes, they can. Spartan swooping around the outside with the better tyres at turn 2. Brilliant stuff.
This is the risky take, starting on the hard tyres in a race, is that they take their time to warm themselves up properly and get into that operating window. And I think Lalo displaying that well, as he's gone from pole all the way down to P6 and lost a lot of places. He'll make those up surely as the race continues, but it's not the start he would have wanted to get this race underway. Meanwhile, the Alpines are making some steady progress through the midfield, but have still got a long way to go. But they've already dispatched of 1 Ferrari after Pommy Alex's spin or contact perhaps a little bit earlier on, but a fairly clean start to this race.
Lalo still putting pressure on Spartan. Those hards starting to get into their temperature window now, so Lalo might have the advantage soon. But that being said, he just locked up again into the same corner and handed Spartan Keith another few tenths. Muhitti sets the fastest lap, but Henry follows him with another fastest lap, and Henry looks like he's got really good pace today as Tito Man now battles with Scaparo up towards turn 1. Can the the Alpine, sorry, make the move?
There he goes. I think he's just got it perhaps, but the Haas going to go all the way around the outside, but the better line and the speed goes to the Alpine, and he gets himself up into P9, but he runs a little deep into turn 3. That can open the door to the Haas again. Not quite. He's not close enough to make any sort of advance on that blue car. Morales has spun around a little further back. I think he's okay for the time being. He's not got any damage, but he's going to have lost a lot of time. And Tier has come in and put the soft tyres on at the moment, so probably hard for him at a later stage in this race, but he'll be hoping for a safety car to make that pit stop.
Yeah, definitely. Those softs wear off so quickly around this track. In 3 laps, they're gone. So as Lawrence makes a mistake, and this could leave the door open for his teammate, Tito Man down the inside. Lawrence leaves the door open, and he makes the move on his teammate as Lalo Mado makes the move on Spartan further ahead as well, up to P5 for the man on the hard tyres, and he is charging his way back into this race.
Yeah, he's got some decent pace around this circuit, it seems, and in this race so far, he'll be hoping to catch up to the back of Jamie F1 and Henry, who are locked into battle at the moment with the DRS advantage going Lawrence to the Mercedes as Lawrence is gone.
Championship leader, and he might be beached.
He's beached
on the curb.
Oh, he's just got it off.
Got it.
Oh,
wow. I thought he was gone. I thought that was it for the championship leader, but no, he's got it going. That is crucial for him, and he's lost a bunch of positions and time, but he'll be glad to just still be going and have a good shot.
And a Scaparo round just in front of Pommy Alex. Quick reactions for the Ferrari to miss that. I just caught that on the stream there, and he had to take avoiding action, and rightly so. It would have been a race ender there.
Yeah, wow, brilliant reaction time from Pommy Alex. I know that feeling of a car spinning just in front of you and your heart goes into your mouth for a second. As we've got another spin, that's Lawrence again at turn 3. He is not having a good time at all today, and he's lost so much time, 20 seconds. It's going to be more than that to the back of Scaparo, and Lawrence has a lot to do.
That's Mr. J-Man!
Everyone's spinning at the moment. It's Spain without the A, Sumo.
It certainly is. It is spin at the moment, and that's going to promote Pommy Alex up into P8 now. And Lawrence has got to get it turn 5, and so is Mr. J-Man. Those tyres need to cool down, J-Man. Let them cool.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that gives a position to Mireles as well, who spun earlier. Scaparo as well on the back of this, and he's gone again, Mr. J-Man. He's just...
And Lawrence too.
Oh dear, they're both of them just going at every corner at the moment. They've just got to tentatively limp the car around for now. JBS Steve right behind Spartan Keith and Henry putting the pressure on Jamie F1. The gap to Muhiti is 2.7, so Henry needs to clear this Mercedes if he wants a chance at the win here.
Yeah, I think Jamie just made the move. I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't see it happen, but I think I caught it on the stream at least. That's the Mercedes up into P2 for now. Muhiti dominating this race at the moment, 2.8 seconds as Mr. J-Man's gone around again, and so is Lawrence. Our championship leader is about 1 or 2 corners away from being lapped.
Wow.
By his one of his main rivals, but no less. As Muhiti's about 2 corners behind the Alpine, and Henry's still challenging Jamie F1 at the moment, but this is helping Lalo Mado catch back up
Lawrence
to these
retired.
guys. He's out of the race. He's retired in the pit lane. That's going to be no points.
He's clearly not in the right mindset to drive 33 laps of suffering just to get himself 7 points here, as JBS Steve gets past Spartan, but Spartan goes back down the inside as Steve goes very deep into turn 1 and the Red Bull back into P5. Henry still on the back of Jamie, not able to catch up, and this is allowing Lalo Mado back into the fight here. 1.0, 1.08, 1.1, it's very close to him being in DRS range already.
Yeah, it certainly is. But Jamie doing a decent job to fend him off for now, and Lalo just staying with him just waiting for them to go side by side once more so that they can gain those couple extra tenths, and he's already, in fact, within the DRS range. Does he have DRS coming down this straight? He does, the AlphaTauri. So he will now join into this DRS train as Henry continues his struggles to get past the Mercedes at the moment. There's another yellow flag in Sector 1. That looks like the... no, that's... yeah, AI of Lawrence pulling over. I don't know why they don't just drive into the garage when they retire in the pit lane, but it baffles me. Nice one, Codemasters. We've got another DRS train a little further back. We've got Spartan Keith, JBS Steve, and the only remaining Alpine in this race, Fido Man, who's looking to make up some places.
Can Henry make the move? He looks to the inside. Jamie defends for the first time, but Henry has a look. He sees a gap and goes round the outside of turn 2, and he's going to have the inside for turn 3. What a move from the Aston Martin as they still go side by side, but Henry has to correct oversteer, and that leaves Jamie round the outside again into turn 4 now as Jamie goes for the switchback. Fantastic racing between these two. Henry now with the inside into turn 5, and Jamie has to try the switchback again, but it's not going to work this time, and he has to settle for P3 for now. And meanwhile, Lalo Mado licking his lips further back.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's watching this and thinking, thanks, chaps, I'm going to get in this fight now and maybe get the both of you. But that was some incredible racing. They were dancing around each other through that first sector at the moment as the AlphaTauri has a little bit of a look but just stays close enough to keep with them as they come down that main straight. As Muhiti may be making a little mistake there.
Yes,
I don't know, that time dropped a little bit.
Yeah, I think he must have done, but JBS Steve makes the move on Spartan Keith meanwhile into turn 9. Tier gets a penalty further back, but Spartan went very deep, and JBS Steve took that opportunity in the Mercedes up to P3 and P5. Great stuff from them at the moment as Jamie looks to stay with Henry to make himself not vulnerable to Lalo. And here he comes. Look at the straight line speed of that Mercedes round the outside for turn 1. Surely not. And but no, Henry makes a mistake, and he's got a chance, but he makes a mistake there, gets on the curb, and this could allow Lalo Mado, not quite.
Oh, very close racing between these guys. And Jamie lucky not to lose a place in that battling as well. JBS Steve practically pushing the Red Bull through. Here comes Fido Man. He's got the better run through turn 3, and he's going to go up the inside of the Mercedes down to turn 4, and that's a clean pass for the Alpine, and he gets himself into P6 and in the middle of this DRS train now and chasing after the Red Bull.
I have some intel on Lawrence, by the way. He had, as we can see on our little commentary screens, but I wasn't looking at the time, he has rear wing damage, so that's why. So he thought, I've got no chance of finishing this race, and I know exactly that feeling. Rear wing damage is horrible on this game, as here comes Tito Man on Spartan Keith now for P5.
Oh, they're going to go side by side. Spartan has a much more... wider line and is able just to carry the speed through and defend that position for now, but for how much longer as they come down the main DRS straight in a couple corners time. We keep an eye on the train just a little bit ahead, and these DRS trains coming in, and look who's creeping onto the back of this one. Pommy Alex in the Ferrari now looking to get involved in this fight.
Yeah, definitely. He's just 1.1 seconds back. He's not far away at all. And Spartan Keith, he's got plenty of VRS left, but so has Tito Man, and the Alpine's just going to stick behind and wait for a better opportunity for now. Lalo Mado as well, talking of waiting for a better opportunity, he's still just sitting behind these two drivers ahead of him on the mediums and hoping that he can just stick with them and have the advantage in the second stint.
He's got a lot more ERS as the AlphaTauri. Oh, a little snap there as they went up the hill, just managing to catch it. It's very scary when you drop it there for a little bit. That's a Haas spinning on the exit of turn 3 there, and it will continue on, it seems, as a Fido Man pushing that Red Bull up the hill, maybe on the attack in towards turn 10. He is to the inside, does the Alpine for the second time, and it's a much better run this time. He's ahead, but a snap of oversteer, and it sees the Red Bull back ahead perhaps. They're going to go side by side into this section. Who emerges in front? Oh, there goes the Alpine. He spins, and that's going to see him drop all those places and have to catch right back up again.
All that good work undone by the curb there. He just got too much on it to try and get too much on the inside, and that was that. And now Pommy Alex is on the back of this train. He is in P7, just behind the two of them. I think unless there's a safety car, the best he can do is probably P5 today, because there's a huge gap to 4th place. But he'll nonetheless be happy with a recovery like this, and that is the Haas out of the race. Scaparo, and talking about is there a safety car? Now there is.
Wow. Safety car then. As this race begins to get interesting, Muhiti will be kicking himself that safety car has come out. He had such a demanding lead, 2.8 seconds, and a DRS train behind him, and that's going to come to nothing. And Pommy Alex will be happy to see that safety car. That'll bring him right back into this race at the moment. And Fido Man as well after that spin at turn 12. But some chances to make some stops. And I imagine all of the medium runners will go onto the hard tyre. But can Lalo Mado get a set of mediums to the end from here?
Yes, but oh my goodness, they're going to be dead by the end. So it's whether he's brave enough to go for it. He is coming into the pit, so what tyres is he going to go on is the question. I do have Lawrence in my chat. He says, sorry for the DNF rear wing damage, car was undrivable. I know exactly what you mean, mate. I've had rear wing damage on this game. It is quite literally undrivable. You're absolutely right, so I don't blame you at all. It is mediums for Lalo Mado.
Wow, he's going to go for it then. He's got to really look after those tyres and maybe hope for a second safety car that will see them all out on the soft tyres, I'd imagine. But this race is neutralised at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly is. It looks like everyone coming into the pits. Tier should as well. If he stays out, he's absolutely insane, to be honest. On those soft tyres, they must be dead for Tier. And here he goes into the pits, and he'll be glad to be back in this race.
Yeah, he certainly will. After that little spin there, Mr. J-Man as well. In fact, he'll be happy to be back in, and I think he'll get ahead of Tier. He came in the minute the safety car came out, so he'll gain that place. Rick says in my chat that it's Alpine by the looks of it tonight, and it certainly is at the moment. But I think Fido Man can go on a recovery drive and at least scavenge some points. But what this will mean is that gap in the constructors, as long as both Ferraris can finish this race, will come down.
Certainly will. It's coming down. My God, it's absolutely throwing it down where I am right now.
Not sure what the weather's doing, but last night there was an incredible lightning storm.
Yeah,
Never
there was
so much.
Yeah, I think one struck the field right next to my house. It was so loud. It's like an F1 car went past my house.
And I sat in my car when that storm hit last night, and I just sat there and watched it. It was an incredible feeling.
Shall we do a helmet review down the grid while we have another lap of the safety car?
Muhiti there, I can't quite tell, but that's a standard helmet design.
It's a default 0 out of 10. 0. Every default helmet gets 0.
Have a look at Jamie F1 now. I wish there was some better camera options for it, but it looks like a nice sort of... It's that Mercedes green, I suppose it is.
Yeah.
There with a little bit of red. It's alright. I don't know, maybe like a 5.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Maybe a 6. Something like that. But,
yeah, I've just seen the red and the orange as well. I think Henry's got the Koi helmet. I think no edits to the colour. It's quite a nice helmet design. I think I switched mine out quite early. I did have that Koi design in a purple and blue, but then I changed it for another one which looks a lot better. I'll give that a decent 5. If he had maybe added a bit more variant to it, then maybe a little more. Lalo Mado, that's default 0. Default for Spartan
default
0. Pommy Alex, ooh.
Golf helmet.
Yeah, we do love the golf design.
Yeah, I'll give that a 7, to be honest.
Yeah,
quite like that. JBS Steve, quite tasteful, red and black. It's a little bit bland. Not the default helmet, but it does look similar.
That's the default for Friday, man. Morello's default. J-Man default. Tier. Ooh, nice pink and black.
Brilliant. Great helmet for Tier. I'll give that an 8.5 to be honest.
Yeah, I'll give that an 8.5 as well. I think that's looking really good. Maybe I'll give it a 9 actually. I do like pink on a racing helmet. But
he might be back of the grid, but he's top of the grid for helmets.
Yes, he certainly is. Take the wins where you can, Tier. And it was nice to see him toward the top in sprints a couple of days ago, but that penalty still haunting him, I bet. But anyway, Muhiti will be restarting this race any minute now as the safety car's building, and I think the Ferrari's gone at the last moment, and he's not he's not left the Mercedes. I can't speak, Ghost.
It's alright, so I'll take over. Henry down the inside of Jamie, and there's contact, and Henry's gone! He's only got himself to blame for that one. He braked too late for turn 1. Jamie's lucky to get away with it. Lalo Mato into P3, Spartan Keith up to P4, and Pommy Alex into the top 5 now, with back where he started, with JVS Steve just behind, and now Tito Man down the inside of the Mercedes into P6. Great opportunistic move from him. Tier up to P9 in the meantime, but Henry is going to be absolutely gutted.
Oh, and Mr. J-Man and Tier going side by side at the moment as well, so to cut you off, Ghost, and I think J-Man has just got ahead of the Aston Martin. They went side by side through turn 5, and up the hill they go towards turn 9, and that Williams all over the back of Morales in the Alpha Tauri at the minute. Lalo Mato on the mediums down the inside of turn 10. Can he keep that position at the moment as they go through? The more momentum carried by the Mercedes, but the tighter line for the Alpha Tauri sees him up into P2.
Yeah, great stuff from Lalo, really utilising those mediums when he can, but he is going to be really struggling towards the end of this race unless there's another safety car to save him. Spartan Keith still just watching and waiting at this battle further back. Pommy Alex with a big mistake out the last corner, loses a lot of time, and he's out DRS range, but he's got another lap to get back in it. But Tito Man is looking really good in the race. His quali pace wasn't quite there, but on point in the race as Mr. J-Man gets past Mireles. Yeah,
Rick is figured that Lalo's got a box around lap 25 to 32 for the soft tyre.
We will see if he tries to go all the way on the mediums or if he decides enough is enough towards the end of this race. But at the moment, all the gaps looking fairly stable. No one making a move. Mireles nearly into the back of Mr. J-Man at turn 5, but managing to keep it together. And now Lalo right on the back of our race leader in the Alpha Tauri. Here he goes now. He's going to have DRS on the next lap, but not on the main straight. So we'll see if he tries to make a move into turn 1.
Yeah, we'll see. And he's all over the back of Muhiti. Muhiti's going to be so mad that safety car came out as Tier and Morales go wheel to wheel. Oh, and Tier's crashing into the AlphaTauri, and I think that safety car is going to come out much sooner than anticipated, and it is. Tier's car's abandoned. It's a VSC. Really? The car's in the middle of the track.
I can't believe that's a VSC.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Spartan Keith into the pits. Meanwhile, Mireles gets a drive-through for speeding. I do think the Delta and VSC is ridiculous in that final sector, so I do sympathise with him, but nothing Mireles could do about that. That was, at least from my point of view, there was no contact. So, yeah, Spartan Keith back onto the mediums, which he started the race on. I think he's forgotten that they're old tyres. He doesn't have 2 sets of mediums, so a bit of a disaster for the Red Bull. I don't know why he pitted. I didn't see any damage to the car on my screen, although I wasn't looking, to be fair. Jamie F1, by the way, has rear wing damage, so I don't know how that happened, but he's going to be struggling for the rest of the race now.
Oh wow, this even tells you if drivers are going AI.
Yeah.
No hiding anymore. I think Jamie F1's got rear wing damage.
Yeah, he does, yeah. So, tricky for him. I don't know how that happened. Maybe rear-ended by Pommy Alex at some point while we were watching further back. Could have been the contact with Henry, but that was to the side of the car, so that wouldn't make sense. So, yeah, I'm not sure where he picked that up. VSC is over. Tito Man gets a drive-through after all his hard work. He's sped onto the VSC, and he's going to be absolutely gutted with that. That's going to promote JBS Steve into the top 5. Mr. J-Man will be back in this race as well, although does he have a drive-through? Penalties? Yes, he does! All 3 of those penalties are drive-throughs. So, disasters for 3 cars on track of this VSC, as we've already lost 4 from this race.
Yeah. Alpine, like Rick said, as closing up is Lalo Mado. He's got so much speed as he comes towards turn 1, and that's the Alpha Tauri into the lead. But I think it might be a matter of when, not if, those tyres do degrade, and Muhiti may see himself back in the lead. Those hards will go nice and comfortably to the end from this point, I think. And Lalo Mado got a lot of work to do. He's got to channel his inner Sergio Perez and really massage those tyres all the way home.
Spartan Keith back in the pits again. He's realised his mistake. Back on the hards he goes, but I didn't see any front wing damage. Maybe I just didn't see it, but it just seems bizarre. He must have had damage, surely, but I really didn't see him collect any, so I don't know why he's pitted. Maybe he can explain to us after the race. But Tito, man, he does have that drive-through, so we've got to take that for granted. JBS Steve has lost a lot of time in the meantime. The Mercedes really struggling for pace on these hard tyres early on. Yeah, all 3 of those cars you see with penalties are going to have to come in for a drive-through.
Yes, certainly. They have 3 laps in order to come in and serve their penalty. They can't be done after the safety car comes in, but it has to be done under green flag conditions, and neither driver has come in yet, so perhaps they're waiting for the other to come in. But Fido Man is on the attack on the Ferrari right now, looking to the inside, not close enough. Is the Alpine on this occasion? It's not going to matter when he does come in. Oh, and he spins at turn 2.
And that's just made his day even worse, as he's got a drive-through to serve as well, and that's going to lose him out to Mr. J-Man in the meantime. Murella's into the pits further back for probably more damage, I reckon. Jamie F1 on the back of Muhiti now. Muhiti's already lost 2 seconds. Their last laps, by the way, Lalo's was a 20.0, Muhiti's was a 22.0. So that's 2 seconds in 1 lap for Lalo. And even if those tyres do degrade at the end, if he builds a big enough gap, it's not going to matter. And at the moment, that looks like that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Lalo Mado doing a great job to open up that gap to Muhiti at the moment, but it's not going to matter too much. The Ferraris will be happy just to bring home some points, seeing the woes of the Alpines at the moment, and they're their main focus in this championship.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a terrible day for Alpine, but especially the championship leader gets rear wing damage early on, and that was it for him. Mr. J-Man in for his drive-through. Tito Man also in for his. Mirella's has already taken his. So that will be all penalties sorted. That will see Henry back up to P6 after his mistake at the restart, which he's still going to be kicking himself for. I know he would have thought he could have had a win today. Yeah, a huge shame for him. Just brake too late for turn 1 and paid the price. Lalo has slowed down on that previous lap though. 20.7, Muhiti's was a 21.8. So only a second on that last lap, and if that keeps slowing down, Lalo's going to struggle at the end.
Yeah, I think he will, certainly. And he's still got a long way to go. We're about halfway, I'd have said now, maybe a little bit over halfway in this race at the moment. And 7 laps old, those mediums right now, and I think they'd probably go a good 20 laps, maybe less than that.
Yeah, they'll go about 16, 17, and then they'll start to be really difficult to drive on. And there's 14 laps to go, so he's going to be on 22 lap old medium tyres by the end, and his last lap was a 20.7 again. Muhiti's was a 21.6, so it's about a second a lap at the moment, but it is slowing down, and towards the end of this race, Lalo's going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, I think so, and our closest battle on track at the minute is the Mercedes and the Ferrari of Muhiti and Jamie F1. As they are currently, Jamie just sits within that DRS range, but he's not got himself within distance for an overtake just yet.
This is super impressive from Jamie F1, considering his rear wing damage at the moment. To stick with the man who was dominating the early stages of this race is mightily impressive with that rear wing damage. So he's going to be hoping to keep that up, and it should be another podium for him if he can indeed keep it up.
Yeah, it might be very minor wing damage. I mean, when a couple weeks ago at sprints at Belgium, I had a terrible spin and got some rear wing damage, but I was able to carry on until I made it even worse, of course, and then it was completely undrivable. I had to poodle around in that Alfa Romeo, but if you treat it with respect, that light rear wing damage, then you can find some pace in the car, and that's what Jamie's doing right now. He's not gonna, I don't think he'll get himself within that range to attack, but if he can stay with Muhiti, he might have a shot at making an overtake on Lalo later on in the race.
Definitely. Lalo only gaining around 5/10 on that last lap, so it's definitely slowing down, and it's slowing fast. Muhiti starting to get the groove, well, Muhiti and Jamie getting into the groove of those hard tyres, and Lalo's going to start losing those mediums in around 8 laps or so. Well, yeah, in around 8 laps or so. So last 5-6 laps, that gap is going to come down and down, but will it be enough?
Not sure as we continue to go on. It's 6.2 seconds now, the gap between Muhiti and Lalo Mado. Lalo's a reserve, is he not? So, I mean,
yes.
Muhiti technically would win this race as far as the actual championship is concerned, but Lalo doing a great job for AlphaTauri.
Yeah, well, if we can get Lalo a permanent seat, then it'll be back. But Lalo just responding there with a purple second and third sector. Is he using ERS? He's down to 33%. So yeah, I reckon he did use a bit on that last lap. But Muhiti and Jamie on similar amounts. So yeah, but still, so that was 1.5 seconds gained on that last lap. So a big response from Lalo Mado.
Yeah, certainly so. And this is still our closest battle at the moment. Jamie F1 and Muhiti, and Jamie's actually creeping up slowly onto the Ferrari. Perhaps the Ferrari struggling a little bit on these aging hard tyres, but the way Jamie's driving, he's likely looking after them that little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. But I think Jamie he wants to stick with the Ferrari for now, and this track is so difficult to overtake if the pace is similar. So especially with the ERS differential, Muhiti with 20% more, so Jamie's going to struggle to get past. So I think what he's doing is just waiting for a mistake from the Turkish driver and see if he can capitalize on that. As we'll see what the gap is to Lalo Mado as they cross the line this time around. How much has the AlphaTauri gained on this lap as Jamie nearly goes for a spin and loses a bunch of time. Lalo gains 1.2 seconds on that last lap, so he is definitely speeding up and responding, but for how much longer on those mediums?
Just about 10 laps to go, or 11 including this one, I suppose. As we get onto lap 23 at the moment. Still our closest battle on track is Muhiti and Jamie, although Jamie struggling with some rear wing damage but not showing it all too much, perhaps a little bit on the last corner there as he got a big tank slapper that lost him a couple of attempts, but he's got himself comfortably back in that already.
Yeah, but lost a bit there through turn 5 and again through turn 7 and 8. Muhiti putting down the pressure now, and has he fallen out of DRS there? It was close. Yes, he has. Jamie out of DRS now of the Ferrari. So great work from Muhiti, and indeed he sets a personal best second sector, so that just shows you that the Ferrari could smell a chance to get out of that DRS range, and he's taken it. So great stuff from him. Lalo's tyres at 40% now with 11 laps to go, and he's done 12 laps on them. So by the end they'll be on about 80% as Jamie gets on the yellow curb, and that's going to lose him another half a second, and 1.7 now is the gap to Muhiti.
Yeah, think Pommy Alex might start to smell some blood in the water, and if he can
Yeah.
put the pressure on, he might just get ahead of that Mercedes. He's looking like he might be a little bit quicker. He's slowly gaining time. Of course, no damage for the Australian, so he'll be able to push flat out. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. I think that's Morella's. Just letting by his teammate, Lalo Mado, who's just lapped him.
Yep. Well, that last lap, Pommy caught Jamie by 0.5 of a second, but remember the Mercedes did lose about that much in the last corner, so I don't know if Pommy has the outright pace to catch Jamie, but if the Mercedes keeps making errors, then that Ferrari will slowly start reeling in that gap.
Yeah, it certainly will, and Jamie did catch up a little bit, but he's dropped off in the second sector now. And Pommy is beginning to catch up again. He's almost closed it down to 5 seconds now. That'll be another 0.5 gained for the Ferrari. So this rear wing damage potentially costing Jamie a shot at the podium.
It could well do. Meanwhile, the closest battle has switched to P5. JBS Steve under pressure from the Aston Martin of Henry, who could have been on the podium today if it wasn't for that mistake at the restart. So he's hoping to make amends and at least get himself into the top 5. He's definitely got the pace. He was 3 seconds faster than JBS Steve on that last lap, so there must have been a mistake from the Mercedes. And here comes the Aston Martin DRS right behind JBS Steve down the inside. Should be done before the corner, and it is. Takes the racing line. Henry up into P5.
A decent move from Henry. He'll be looking to recover, but JBS Steve will likely try and stay with the Aston Martin and continue this battle, but Henry seems to have lots of pace in that car and has already pulled out a second.
Steve looks like he's really struggling. I'm just riding on board with him. He's got a lot of understeer. I can't see any damage on the car, even on the telemetry, so it's a bit odd why he's struggling so much. I do wonder what's happening there. Mr. J-Man is now going to be catching him by quite a lot. 2 seconds on that last lap, so we'll have to see if the Mercedes is going to drop more positions here. Tito Man is about 10 seconds back from there, so if there is a problem on that car, then he could be vulnerable even for P8.
Yeah, certainly so. I think Pommy Alex might have made a mistake a couple laps ago, as he's dropped back now to about 6.87 seconds and has lost out some time to Jamie, who is struggling. So no drivers all too close at the minute, and that gap getting larger and larger between Lalo and Muhiti. And so those mediums close to their end as J-Man has spun at the exit of turn 15 and he's into the pits.
That's going to give Tito Man a free position and release some pressure from JBS Steve, and that's a 5-second penalty as well for the Williams, just making his day that little bit worse. And we still await a race performance that matches his recent qualifying pace so far, the Belgian, as he retires from the session, in fact, in the pit lane. Oh, you didn't need to do that, J-Man. You could have gotten some really decent points today, but he's had enough, clearly.
Yeah, Spain is a track of attrition, and it can really affect you when you're spinning, especially when you think you're having a decent run of things in the race. And so that's another driver out of the race. It's 5 drivers now out of 14 that started the race who are out.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. There's again, I don't think there was any need for him to do that. I'm not sure why he's decided to end his race there. I get being fed up, but you know, you still want to score some decent points, surely. And with only, now 9 drivers running, even with that pit stop, he would have been P8 at worst. And that's a solid 12 points. So yeah, a bit of a sad move there from J-Man to retire from the race.
Certainly so, and hopefully his luck in the Tier 2 Championship tends to starts to turn a little bit, and as we continue to watch JBF1 as he tries to close this gap.
think that yawn says it all. Yeah, Lalo Mado just set a purple second sector, so
Wow.
he's got 54% mediums, but clearly not affecting him. Across the line he comes, still 7/10 off, but off his best, but yeah, much faster than the rest of the grid.
I'm sure Max Verstappen's not driving that car.
It's his older brother. It's Max all over again.
Yeah, that's it. Indeed.
Well, I should say TTV Max, not Max Verstappen.
No, no.
Maybe they're the same. One and the same.
Yeah, perhaps.
They're both young.
Conspiracy. But J-Man actually closing up a little bit. He could be within that DRS range very soon. He's found some new pace in that car and might challenge Mahiti again.
Yeah, he could well do. Just looking at the lap times, they were very similar last time around, so they are doing similar laps. I just think Mahiti is making fewer mistakes, and Jamie is the faster driver at this point, but with that rear wing damage, it means he's making more errors, and that is costing him on the timesheets compared to Mahiti. And he's definitely going to need an error from Mahiti in order to get himself into P2.
He loses so much time through turn 10 now. It's a swatch. I mean, I don't know how many different lines you can take through there, but I think the best line you can probably take is the one that helps you carry the most speed through the corner.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Jamie does have a lot more ERS in the tank, so I think what he's doing is just waiting to see if Mahiti makes a mistake, and then he's reasons that when that mistake does come, or when/if, he'll have the superior ERS to make the pass. Mahiti currently on 11%, so he's really struggling for battery power, and that could bring Jamie back into it pretty soon. As soon as you go below 10%, remember, there's a significant power reduction. So as JBS Steve into the pits and loses the position to Tito, man. So clearly he's really not happy on those hard tyres, and he's going to go for fastest lap here to deny it for Lalo Mado.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, an extra point for the Mercedes, although they will lose one to Alpine. But just thinking that if I go back and have a little look at our championship at the moment, because I'm not sure how much the gap is going to fall down from Alpine, but Mercedes could well see themselves back in this championship after missing the first round.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the standings myself. So Mahiti will get 20 points from this, and he will go to 63. Pommy Alex will be on 16. Well, he'll get 16 from this, and he'll be up to 64. So the two Ferraris 1 point apart, and they will be 1 and 2 in the championship after this race, if it stays like it is. With Lawrence on 58, so only 5 points behind. So a three-way championship fight is manifesting itself. Another disappointing weekend it's been for Spartan Keith, and he's going to lose more points in that championship fight, despite having the pace clearly to be fighting for a title. It's just not really making the moves to do it. And then the team standings, yeah, Alpine 102. So Ferrari should be leading the constructors after this race, but Mercedes, as you say, slowly catching up.
Yeah, they certainly are. Speaking of a Mercedes catching up, I think Jamie has lost all patience and has used a lot of ERS here. Yeah. They're both incredibly low on ERS as Mahiti's responded to Jamie's sudden burst of speed, and is looking to put the pressure on as the laps wane. We go on to lap 31 of 33 in this Spanish Grand Prix, and still we watch as Jamie F1 tries to chase down the Ferrari of Mahiti for that second step on the podium.
We're finally at the point where Lalo is slower than the chasing cars, by the way, on lap time. Lalo's last lap at 21.2, Jamie's at 21.0. So it's clearly... my stream just crashed. So, am I still in the party?
Yeah, I can still hear you. You're still in the party.
Alright, cool. So at least there's that. Go over to Sumo's stream if you were watching mine. Yeah, Jamie catching up to Muhiti and also slightly catching up to Lalo, but 14 seconds is a step, well, it's about 20 million steps too far.
You need a couple mistakes from that AlphaTauri if either of these cars are going to have a shot at the top step, but Lalo's done an incredible job to get those tyres as far as he has, and he could well get them all the way to the end without mistake, I should add.
Absolutely, they're only on 68%, so it's been brilliant tyre management from the AlphaTauri in these latter stages. As Jamie makes a mistake, and that's JBS Steve pushing too hard for fastest lap, has made a mistake at turn 4. He was 2.5 tenths up on his previous best, but that will be his attempt for that extra point. Well and truly done and dusted, unfortunately for him.
Ooh, very little ERS between both Muhiti and Jamie, so it's a sprint to the finish between these two. Jamie's found some new pace at the minute, and these two are going to be on equal terms as they have very little ERS to use, so it's going to come down to pace and racing prowess on the track. So this battle we've been watching between the two has suddenly come alive as Jamie has gone on the offensive to try and get that second spot on the podium, as first is out of sight, as it looks like Morales has got past Spartan Keith a bit further back. These guys are battling for P8 and 9 at the moment, and it's AlphaTauri ahead. I think Spartan Keith's actually out of the race. He's gone to AI, he's a ghost.
Yeah,
maybe he lagged out of the session, perhaps.
Perhaps. Yeah, Tito into the pits, but it's too late to set the fastest lap. We're on lap 33 already. Yeah, Jamie just hovering in that one. Oh, he's gone the yellow curb too much. Tried to get too much, and that will be that battle over unless there's a big mistake on this final lap from Muhiti. Jamie really piled on the pressure late in this race, but in the end, he was the one to make the mistake and not the Ferrari.
Yeah, certainly. It's one thing to put pressure on the driver in front of you and hope you can make a mistake, but you open that door of opportunity to allow yourself to make a mistake in that chance. You know, you're pushing and pushing and pushing. You're trying to make your car as big and imposing in the mirrors as you can, and you eventually end up making the mistake yourself. And it's the complete opposite of what you want to do. But when you're pushing that hard, it's so easy. How have there been none, Rick, actually? Is Rick saying, how have there been no track limits penalties?
Oh, yeah.
Or except for Tier, perhaps.
Yeah, Tier's DNF, so... But I'm riding on board with Jamie, so you go and follow Lalo as he comes across the line to win the race.
Yeah, round the final corner comes the AlphaTauri of Lalo Mata, the reserve driver. Surely he should get himself a permanent seat as he wins the Spanish Grand Prix with a huge gap and 22 laps on those medium tyres. Bravo to Lalo. Muhiti defends his P2 and he'll be kicking himself that he lost the lead there, but P2 is going to be a solid result with Jamie F1 rounding off the podium. Pommy Alex, after a poor start to the race, comes home P4. That is a great recovery for the Ferrari and just brought the car home, and it's what he needed to do. Henry showed some incredible pace this evening and brings it home for P5 for Aston Martin. Fido Man on the soft tyres. I think he's trying to go for fastest lap, but I think he pitted far too late. He did what I did a couple races ago in Tier 1, although I was lapped.
I think he may have been just in time, actually. He's 7 tenths up on his previous best through Sector 2, so let's see if he can get that extra point. Through Sector 3 he comes, he needs a 20.053 for fastest lap. That was Lalo's time. Here he comes across the line for the Alpine driver. Can he get himself the extra point? DRS open, it's going to be close, not quite, a 20.2. 2 tenths off in the end, very close.
And JBS Steve will come home P7 after that race as well. An incredible result then. That's a Turkish one too, it seems.
Yeah.
Wow, I think that's the first time we've had that in APPF1, so a nice first. And I think that might be Lalo's first win, perhaps. I don't know. Uh,
I
I'll
think
leave that to
so. I
you,
think you're
Mr.
right.
Statman.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm just looking back. Um, Colorado, yeah, didn't get a win last season. Um, season before, no win. So yeah, Lalo Mado's first ever win in APPF1. So congratulations to him.
Huge congratulations to him. He did an incredible job, and really should think about signing himself up for one of those remaining seats on the tier 2 grid as they spray the champagne onto the fans and the crew below as your podium celebrates this race. So Lalo Mado then finishes on the top step and claims fastest lap as well for that extra point, just beating out Fido Man by a couple of tenths of a second. Muhiti, his countryman, sits on the podium alongside him, and flanking is Jamie F1 to round it off. Pommy Alex, a decent recovery to finish P4 with Henry P5, Fido Man P6, damage limitation for Alpine at this point, with JBS Steve, Morales, Spartan Keith and Mr. J-Man rounding off the top 10, but Mr. J-Man, Tier, Scaparo, Lawrence and Krauser all not finishing this race.
Very tough Spanish Grand Prix. A championship leader DNFing after rear wing damage. Sort of, you can't really blame him though. It's absolutely horrible in this game. But a dominant win for Lalo Mado. Muhiti and Jamie pushed each other all the way to the end. But good stuff to get themselves on the podium still. And well, do you know who's leading the championship now? Provisionally, anyway. We do still have that appeal to deal with, but for now, the championship leader is Pommy Alex.
Wow.
By 1 point from his teammate. So very, very tight though at the top. And even if any of those appeals from last week go through, Pommy will be right there fighting for this title. And I think it's going to be a three-way battle for the championship as we reach the, well, we're a third of the way through the championship.
Yeah, we certainly are. That was round 4 of the championship. And looking ahead to next week, we are going to Paul Ricard in France for a race around an incredibly colourful circuit. And if you are a fan of red, white and blue, you'll love it round there. But that's where we're going in Tier 2 next week as we go into the second third of the championship. And we have, what, there'll be 8 races left, sorry. And I've had a lot of weird things happening on my stream. I keep getting comments when I'm not getting comments.
Oh yeah, that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. It's really weird.
Very strange. But Viva la France, says Rick. And I had a decent race in sprints around France just a couple of days ago with my best result of the season so far, so I'll take that any
I don't
day
want to
of the
remember
week.
that race.
I don't think you'd want to remember that entire day, to be honest, guys. That was,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah. I did
um,
watch Dresden's stream back today, and
yeah.
first
Oh, you muted yourself.
oh dear. But yes, no comments from Rick at the moment. But any final thoughts, Ghost?
Well, we need to decide on a driver of the day, Sumo.
Yes, we do.
I don't know about you, but personally, I think Lalo controlled the race from start. Well, not from start to finish. He had a terrible start, and then had a safety car at the perfect time and took the mediums all the way to the end, but was completely dominant in that second stint. So, if it was me, I'd give it to him. But it's up to you, I think, Sumo. You're the
Yeah,
main commentator.
I think I've got to agree with you, Ghost. I think he did everything he needed to do. Everything went perfectly to plan. That safety car came out. He took the risk, put the mediums on, and he was completely confident in his ability to take them to the end, and he did just that. And not only did he take those mediums to the end, but he finished the race 14 or 15 seconds ahead of his competitors, who were not slow by any means.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like there's a bit of talk in the Discord about that VSC. We were talking about it, how weird the delta is in that final sector. And indeed, apparently that is how Spartan Keith's race came undone. The VSC delta just caused everyone to brake in front of him, and he couldn't avoid. So that is why the pit stop happened. But yeah, a bit of the VSC round here is odd in that final sector. So yeah, a bit unfortunate there. But
Again, Codemasters not
yeah,
really making the correct decisions. I think Rick said bring back Michael Massey. He made better decisions in that point. But you know, a car parked in the middle of the track should be a safety car, especially if
yes,
it's missing an entire wheel. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap things up. We've done our driver of the day. We've told you who we're off to next week. And I think we've had our thoughts on this race. It was incredibly exciting toward the start, and it had its low points, but a sprint to the finish perhaps for uh, Muhiti and Jamie F1, which came to a bit of an anticlimactic end, but a good race around Spain nonetheless, however tough it was.
yeah, absolutely, couldn't agree more. And I don't think I have anything else to say.
Well, and that is going to be the end of tonight's Tier 2 stream. I thank everybody so much for watching. Please do go check out our sponsor, Positive Perception Media Design Products. They are they have been with us for since season 2 of the Tier 2 Championship, I believe. And if you enjoy racing content, then if you head over to their socials and to their YouTube as well, you'll find plenty more where this has come from. So give them all the support you guys can. And also go check out our APPF1 affiliates. Go check out Ghost Channel as well for the onboard stream if you're interested in seeing some onboard perspectives from the drivers, as well as the broadcast from myself. I think that's everything I've got to say. So I have been Sumo.
I have been Ghost.
And we will see you next week for some more Tier 2 action as we go to France. Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.